What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Deathbyphiw here. If you're stuck in gold or even plat and you feel like you should be climbing, this video is for you. Gold is like the rank where players start to understand the game, but still make a lot of mistakes that completely stop your improvement and completely stop your grind to climb. Here's the important part. These aren't like your aim stinks mistakes. These are decision making mistakes. I see these every single game in medal ranks, whether it's tank, DPS, or even on support. So let's break this down. 10 mistakes every gold player makes, and more importantly, how to fix them. Mistake number 1, fighting when the fight is already lost. Right? This is probably one of the biggest mistakes you make in medal ranks. Gold players love fighting 3v5s. You lose one teammate, someone else dies, and instead of maybe just backing up, people keep walking forward, holding W, using cooldowns, and even using their ultimates. Here's the rule. If you're down 2 players, the fight is almost always lost. Like, you're probably never going to win that fight. It can happen, but very rarely, let me tell you. What higher ranked players do in like masters or grandmasters and above, they either like die immediately with their team to reset, or they back up because that fight's not going to be won, right? So if they're able to back up safely and get away and not die, they also then save their cooldown, so they're not wasting abilities like ultimates. And then they just regroup for the next fight to happen, right? What gold players do generally, and this doesn't happen every time, like I said, maybe we can clutch. Maybe if I use my ultimate, we can clutch this in a 5v3. Like a Sombra jumps in when you're down two teammates and EMPs. That's a game-changing ult. Or Zarya grabs when you're down 2. It's like you're probably not going to win that fight and you end up losing it, wasting an ult. Then you die staggered. That is, you lost 2 teammates, you can safely escape, or you can die immediately with your team, but you choose to do the opposite. You try to continue to fight and maybe lose 20-30 seconds of time doing that, or you try to escape instead of just immediately dying with the other teammates to preserve your KDA, and you end up wasting like 15 seconds running away, and the enemy team staggers you. Right? So the biggest thing you could do to fix that here is when you see like 2 teammates die, stop pressing W, just back up, live, and reset. Mistake number 2, using ultimates just because they're ready. You shouldn't treat ultimates like if it's glowing, I need to press my ultimate button. This leads to ulting into lost fights. This leads to solo ulting tanks, which is like just dumb. Like, I'm going to grab a Rhine with a full shield as Zarya. Like, why? Using multiple ults for 1 kill. Like, you ever see your teammates just spam ults? Like, 3-4 ultimates go off and you just kill 1 person? It's not worth it. Ultimates are win conditions. They're not panic buttons. Ask yourself one question before you ult. What does this ultimate actually help us win? Good ult usage is a big factor into climbing elo and winning games. Some examples are nanoing to enable a push, blade on Genji when supports don't have their cooldowns, like don't have their abilities, like something that like a get out of jail free card, like you know, you go to blade Kiriko and she has both Suzu and her teleport, right? So bad ult usage is just so bad for you, right? Also, another mistake I see as a good example is you are Kiriko and you have your ultimate. You could Kitsune rush before the fight start. You could Kitsune to enable your team to do a bunch of damage and win that fight, and you just don't use it. So ulting after two teammates are dead is just bad ult usage. Ulting just to get 1 kill in most cases isn't the best case to use your ultimate. Ulting with no follow-up. So you're doing something to enable your team and your team just backs up, or your team does ult and you just back up. Fix this before every fight decide, is this a dry fight or an ult fight? Dry fight being, are we just going in using our normal abilities, or is this an ultimate fight that we need to use some ults to win it, to then maybe win that fight and win the game, or cap, or do something that helps your team win the game. Mistake number 3 is bad positioning, right? Gold players will often blame like their aim. I need to do aim trainers. I need to practice more. But really, positioning is probably more important than aim, right? I will tell you the aim difference between like a diamond player and a grandmaster's player are very minimal. At that point, a diamond player's aim is so close at a skill level of a grandmaster or a top 500 player that that's not the key difference. It's probably their positioning. So these decision making things are the reason why you're not climbing, right? So some common positioning mistakes, especially in gold, are like you're standing in the main choke and you're not doing anything. There's no cover nearby for you to hide behind. You're playing low ground for absolutely no reason when you have the ability to take high ground, which is very advantageous for you. Or like you're on support and you're just standing in the open. You can get shot in the head by a Widowmaker. Cover is better than healing, right? High rank players peek, shoot, go back to cover. They use corners constantly to their advantage, right? They're not out in the open on Reinhardt just taking damage or getting their shield destroyed. You see Reinhardt's and higher elo playing those corners, swinging around the corners, backing up, getting heal, then letting their shield recharge, as an example. Also, they take high ground whenever possible. How do you fix this, right? At all times, know, where is my nearest corner? If the answer is I don't know, you're probably mispositioned. You're out in the open, you have nowhere to hide behind, you're mispositioned. Mistake number 4 is ignoring the high ground. Gold players hate high ground for some reason. I'm not saying you don't always take high ground, but high ground gives you better angles. It gives you easier headshots. It gives you natural cover. It gives you control over space. Instead, you may walk main, walk through a choke, fight uphill, or maybe ignore these free advantages. Even tanks should think about high ground, not just the DPS or even the supports. Right? You fix this that before every fight, you ask yourself, can I safely take high ground? If yes, do it. Another common mistake is shooting the tank all game. This one is huge. It's massive. I can't tell you how many times you have players say, look at my damage. Look at all the damage I'm doing. Gold players love shooting tanks. They love shooting their Orisa or their Rein Shield, or they love shooting Roadhogs or Magas who have huge health pools. They love shooting Zarya bubbles, like all game, non-stop. Meanwhile, supports could be free for you to target. DPS maybe are uncontested, creating space for the enemy tank, where your tank is getting punished because you're not doing that. And the enemy tank just like never dies because you're just targeting the enemy tank and the supports are freely supporting them, right? Damage doesn't matter if it doesn't create pressure. Better target priority, right? Expose supports, DPS using cooldowns, tank only when vulnerable. Fix this by asking yourself, who is actually killable right now? So you're doing a better target focus in this situation. Mistake number 6 is not tracking enemy cooldowns. Like, you need to predict, not react, right? So you got to understand, hey, maybe this player, this hero didn't ult in the last 60 seconds or so. They probably have their ultimate. So am I going to go in and blade, and knowing that the Zenyatta has his ult or the Lucio has their ult, I need to bait out cooldowns. I need somebody else to do something because my ultimate, my nano blade, is way more important than maybe like the Sigma ult. Sigma could probably ult the one of the supports or 2 other teammates on an enemy team, and because of that, maybe the Lucio pops his ult or the Zenyatta pops his ult to save them from fighting. When that fight is then over, we nano blade to go in and wipe the team, right? So pushing Kiriko after her Suzu is down is a good example. Diving Ana after her sleep is down. Blading after Lamp, blading after one of those ultimates like on Zenyatta or Lucio or whatever. If you don't track cooldowns, fights are just random and sometimes just flat out unwinnable. And here's your fix. You don't need to track everything. You just track a few abilities. Track an Ana Sleep, a Kiriko Suzu, a Baptiste Lamp, ultimates, right? If somebody hasn't used their ult in like 60 to 90 seconds, just think they probably haven't. When it's gone, that's your moment to take action. Mistake number 7, overextending after getting a pick. You get a kill, that's great. Gold players then like chase into enemy spawn or ignore the objective instead of capping or whatever. They die and throw the advantage. And they'll be like, oh, I got a pick. Why didn't we all move forward? Slow down, not speed up at all times, right? Win conditions after a pick, you can get a kill, you take space, you force cooldowns, you push the objective. Not, I'm going in 1v4, right? Not everybody's on a dive hero who can go in with you. Not everyone can get to different, like, high ground, like, as a diva or a dive tank quickly, right? So you got to think about what's on your team and who you're playing with, your team comp. Slow down, think about it, process the information, take advantage of that pick that you have as a team. Take space, force cooldowns, push the objective. So how do we win this fight cleanly, and how do we use it to our advantage to fix that? Mistake number 8, playing on autopilot. This is so common, and this happens in higher ranks too. They have tunnel vision, right? And this is a sneaky one, right? That not everyone like notices, and it happens to me too in like Masters and GM. You run the same path every fight. You go to the same spots. You know, you have tunnel vision. You use abilities the same way. You're doing the same thing every single time, right? I'm always gonna Suzu before this fight, or I'm always gonna Kitsune before this fight. I'm always gonna Nano Blade like every single time. Whereas maybe I have my Nano before my Genji has his Blade. Maybe I can Nano to Ramacha. And then you just like never adapt to like things that are changing, right? If something isn't working, doing it harder necessarily won't fix it. High ranked players constantly adjust different angles, different timing, different targets. They're doing things differently. They're changing things up so you're not predictable, right? Fix. After every death, ask yourself, what killed me? How did I die? And how do I do it to prevent it in the future? Right? You have a Moira or a Symmetra or a Mei on an enemy team or a Zarya. Am I going to just dive in as a Genji? No. I'm going to find different things or different targets to try and better myself as a Genji player. Another thing is bad communication or no communication at all. And this, I would say, it's not even just gold, plat. I think it's at all ranks. People are completely silent, or it's just pure chaos and everyone's blaming each other. You don't need to be an in-game leader. Simple callouts win games. Ana, no sleep. We're down 1, back up. Blade next fight. Bad comms are complaining, blaming, tilting. Only say things that help the next fight. And I'm guilty of this. I still make this mistake. I let my ego sometimes, or even like me getting upset, affect the way I communicate to others. So this is something we probably all could improve on. It's not just gold players, but it's something you could probably focus on to help you out. And the next thing, mistake number 10, is blaming teammates instead of fixing your own play. This is the biggest mindset issue you have. Yes, and we probably all know this. Teammates make mistakes, but so do you. Every game, there are things that you could do better to improve on. You could position better. You could use your ultimate better. You could do better target priority. Blame, gives us all comfort, right? Responsibility gives you rank. So if I notice I did something wrong, I'm responsible as myself on the hero and role that I'm playing. I can improve by taking responsibility, right? Focus on what could increase my win chance, like maybe by 5 or 10%. That's how climbing actually works. These little mistakes, why did I ult here? Now I don't have it for the next team fight. If I saved it, maybe would have won that team fight and won that point, right? So think of it that way. And yeah, even if you fix like 2 or 3 of these mistakes, you'll start winning more games immediately, right? So you fix blaming folks and you get better communication and you focus on improving yourself instead of blaming others. Those are like 2 or 3 things you could fix, and you'll probably have better communication and less tilting and less throwing of games, and you'll probably win maybe 1 more game out of 10, and that will help you climb. So if this video helped you, drop a like, subscribe for more Overwatch 2 guides and videos and even memes. I create tons of shorts that are funny. Comment your rank and role. I might review gameplay next. I don't know. join the Discord, and I'll be able to check out some reviews of your game, and maybe I'll post a video about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.